Hi everyone. Welcome back to Power of Learning. Today, we will be interpreting the book How to Talk to Anyone by Lael Loans. This book contains 92 little tricks that offer practical advice on how to improve your communication skills and build better relationships with others. Technique number 1. The flooding smile. This technique involves using a warm, open smile to make others feel comfortable and at ease around you. The flooding smile is more than just a simple grin. It's a smile that radiates warmth and kindness, and it's called flooding because it should flood your entire face, including your eyes and cheeks. When you use this technique, you should feel the smile in your eyes and feel it spread across your face. The idea behind the flooding smile is that it helps to break down social barriers and make people feel more comfortable around you. It can be especially effective in situations where you're meeting new people or trying to build rapport with someone. To use this technique, start by practicing your smile in front of a mirror. Try to make it as warm and genuine as possible. Then, when you're out in social situations, be sure to smile often and genuinely. When you first meet someone, use your flooding smile to make a positive first impression. Technique number 2. Sticky eyes. This technique involves using your eyes to create a deeper connection with the person you're talking to. The idea behind sticky eyes is that by maintaining strong eye contact, you can build trust and rapport with the other person. It's called sticky eyes because you want to maintain eye contact in a way that feels natural and engaging, rather than staring in a way that's uncomfortable or creepy. To use this technique, start by practicing your eye contact in everyday situations. Make an effort to maintain eye contact when you're speaking with friends or colleagues, or even with strangers as you're going about your day. Focus on making your eye contact warm and engaging, rather than cold or distant. When you're using sticky eyes in a conversation, try to maintain eye contact for a few seconds at a time before looking away briefly. This will show that you're engaged in the conversation and interested in what the other person has to say. However, be careful not to overdo it. Too much eye contact can make people uncomfortable. It's also important to be mindful of cultural differences when it comes to eye contact. In some cultures, direct eye contact is seen as a sign of respect and engagement, while in others it may be seen as disrespectful or aggressive. If you're unsure about the cultural norms, it's always a good idea to do some research or ask someone who is familiar with the culture. Technique number 3. Epoxy eyes. The epoxy eyes is a technique that involves maintaining strong eye contact with the person you are speaking to, as if your eyes were glued to theirs. This technique can convey a sense of confidence, sincerity, and interest in what the other person is saying. To use this technique effectively, you should aim to make eye contact at least 60 to 70% of the time when speaking with someone. You should also avoid looking around the room or at your phone while the other person is speaking, as this can be interpreted as disinterest or disrespect. However, it's important to be aware of the other person's comfort level and adjust your eye contact accordingly. Prolonged or intense eye contact can be uncomfortable or intimidating, so be sure to maintain a natural and relaxed gaze. Technique number 4. Hang by your teeth. Hang by your teeth is a metaphor for maintaining good posture and body language during communication. The idea is to visualize yourself holding onto a trapeze bar with your teeth, as if you were performing in a circus. This mental image can help you to keep your spine straight, shoulders back, and chest out, which can convey confidence and authority in your communication. Technique number 5. The big baby pivot. To use this technique effectively, Loans suggests visualizing the trapeze bar in your mind and practicing good posture as you walk, stand, or sit. You can also use this technique during conversations by maintaining eye contact, keeping your head up, and using open body language, e.g. uncrossed arms, to show that you are engaged and confident. This technique involves pivoting your body towards the person you are speaking to, while at the same time leaning back slightly and allowing your head to tilt to one side. This posture creates a non-threatening and approachable appearance, similar to that of a baby or young child. According to Loans, this technique can be especially effective when you are meeting someone new or trying to build rapport with someone. By adopting the big baby pivot posture, you can create a friendly and welcoming atmosphere, which can make the other person feel more comfortable and at ease. To use this technique, Loans suggests starting by standing with your feet shoulder-width apart and your hands clasped loosely in front of your body. Then, pivot your body towards the person you are speaking to, while leaning back slightly and tilting your head to one side. Make sure to maintain eye contact and smile warmly to convey a friendly and approachable demeanor. Technique number 6, Hello Old Friend. Hello Old Friend is a powerful tool to create a positive and welcoming attitude when meeting new people, or reconnecting with someone you haven't seen in a while. By imagining the person as an old friend, your body and mind will react in a more relaxed and positive way, which will make you more approachable and likable to the other person. This can help create a more comfortable and natural atmosphere for both parties, which can lead to more productive and enjoyable interactions. The technique works by tapping into the power of positive memories and emotions associated with an old friend. These memories trigger a cascade of neurochemical reactions in the brain that are associated with happiness, relaxation, and trust. The key is to visualize the other person as someone you have a positive and friendly relationship with. You can also imagine a specific scenario or memory where you had a great time with that person. This visualization can help trigger the positive emotions and memories associated with that person, which can then help create a more positive and welcoming attitude towards them. Technique number 7, Limit the fidget. This technique involves reducing or eliminating unnecessary body movements or gestures during interactions with others. Fidgeting can be distracting and convey nervousness or anxiety, which can detract from the message you're trying to communicate. To implement this technique, start by identifying your most common fidgeting habits, such as tapping your feet, shaking your leg, or playing with your hair. Once you've identified these habits, focus on consciously reducing or eliminating them during interactions. One way to do this is to focus on your breathing and grounding yourself in the present moment. Take a deep breath and focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. This can help you feel calmer and more centered, which can reduce the urge to fidget. Another technique is to use intentional movements, such as gesturing or making eye contact, to emphasize key points or convey meaning. This can help channel your energy into productive movements rather than nervous fidgeting. It's also important to recognize that some level of movement or fidgeting is natural, and can actually be helpful in communicating your message. However, it's important to avoid excessive or distracting movements that can take away from the impact of your message. Technique number 8, Hans's Horse Sense. This is a technique based on the principles of nonverbal communication and reading body language. The technique is named after a horse named Hans who was trained to respond to subtle cues from his trainer. To implement this technique, start by observing the body language of the person you're interacting with. Pay attention to their posture, gestures, facial expressions, and tone of voice. These cues can provide valuable insights into the other person's thoughts and feelings, even if they are not expressed verbally. Once you've observed their body language, use this information to adjust your own nonverbal communication. For example, if the person seems tense or closed off, you can adjust your posture and tone to create a more relaxed and open atmosphere. If the person seems excited or enthusiastic, you can mirror their energy level to create a more engaging and positive interaction. The key to this technique is to be subtle and responsive to the other person's body language. Avoid being too obvious or overt in your nonverbal communication, as this can come across as insincere or manipulative. The Hans' sense technique can be especially useful in situations where verbal communication is limited or difficult, such as in negotiations or high-stress situations. By reading and responding to the other person's body language, you can create a more effective and productive interaction, and build stronger relationships based on trust and mutual understanding. Technique number 9, watch the scene before you make the scene. This is a technique that involves observing the dynamics of a social situation before jumping into it. This technique can be helpful in situations where you are meeting new people or entering unfamiliar social settings. To implement this technique, start by taking a few moments to observe the social setting before engaging with others. Pay attention to the tone of the conversation, the body language of the people present, and any cues that might indicate the norms or expectations of the group. Once you have a better sense of the social context, you can adjust your behavior and communication style to fit in more effectively. For example, if the group seems more reserved and formal, you may want to adopt a more reserved and formal demeanor. If the group seems more relaxed and casual, you may feel more comfortable adopting a more casual and relaxed style. It's important to note that watching the scene doesn't mean avoiding social interaction altogether. Instead, it means taking the time to understand the social context before engaging with others, and being mindful of how your behavior and communication style may be perceived. Technique number 10. Make a mood match. This technique involves matching the emotional tone of the person you're interacting with. This technique can be useful in a variety of social settings, from professional meetings to personal conversations. To implement this technique, start by paying attention to the emotional tone of the person you're speaking with. Are they happy and energetic, or more subdued and serious? Try to match their emotional tone by adjusting your own body language, tone of voice, and communication style. For example, if the person is speaking in a soft and measured tone, you may want to speak in a similar tone to match their emotional state. If they are enthusiastic and energetic, you may want to match their energy level and use more animated body language to convey your own excitement. The key to this technique is to be genuine in your emotional response. Avoid simply mimicking the other person's tone without any real emotional engagement. Instead, try to connect with the other person on an emotional level by showing empathy and understanding. By matching the emotional tone of the person you're interacting with, you can build rapport and create a more positive and comfortable social environment. Technique 11. Prosaic with passion. This is a technique that involves communicating in a clear and straightforward manner, while also conveying your passion and enthusiasm for the topic at hand. This technique can be useful in a variety of contexts, from professional presentations to personal conversations. To implement this technique, start by organizing your thoughts and ideas in a clear and logical manner. Use simple and concise language to convey your message, avoiding unnecessary jargon or technical terms that may confuse or alienate your audience. At the same time, infuse your communication with passion and enthusiasm for the topic at hand. Show your audience why you care about the subject and why it matters. Use body language, tone of voice, and other nonverbal cues to convey your energy and excitement. The key to this technique is to strike a balance between clarity and passion. Avoid being too dry or boring, but also avoid being too enthusiastic to the point of being overbearing or distracting. Technique number 12. Always wear a what's-it. This is a technique that involves wearing or carrying a unique or unusual item that can serve as a conversation starter or icebreaker in social situations. This technique can be especially helpful for people who struggle with initiating conversations or building social connections. To implement this technique, choose a unique or unusual item that you can wear or carry with you in social situations. This could be something as simple as a unique piece of jewelry or a quirky accessory, or it could be something more elaborate like a distinctive hat or bag. When you wear or carry your what's-it, be prepared to explain its significance or share a story about how you acquired it. This can help to spark conversation and make it easier for others to approach and engage with you. The key to this technique is to choose an item that reflects your personality and interests, and that can serve as a natural conversation starter. Avoid choosing something too flashy or attention-seeking, as this may come across as insincere or disingenuous. By wearing a what's-it, you can create a more approachable and engaging persona in social situations. Technique number 13: Woozat. This is a technique that involves actively engaging with and showing interest in the people around you, even if you don't know them well or at all. This technique can help to build stronger social connections and create a more positive and welcoming social environment. To implement this technique, start by actively seeking out and engaging with the people around you. This could involve introducing yourself to new people, striking up conversations with strangers, or making an effort to learn more about the people you interact with on a regular basis. When engaging with others, be genuinely interested in what they have to say. Ask open-ended questions, listen actively, and show empathy and understanding. Try to find common ground and shared interests that can help to build stronger connections. The key to this technique is to be authentic and sincere in your interactions with others. Avoid being too pushy or insincere in your attempts to connect with others, as this can come across as disingenuous or uncomfortable. By using the Woozat technique, you can create a more welcoming and inclusive social environment, and build stronger connections with the people around you. Technique number 14: Eavesdrop in. This is a technique that involves actively listening to and observing the conversations of others in social situations, without necessarily actively participating in those conversations. This technique can help you to better understand the social dynamics of a group, and to identify opportunities to join or contribute to the conversation in a meaningful way. To implement this technique, start by actively listening to the conversations happening around you. Pay attention to the topics being discussed, the tone and body language of the participants, and the overall mood and atmosphere of the group. As you listen, look for opportunities to join the conversation or contribute your own insights or perspectives. This could involve asking a thoughtful question, sharing a personal experience or story that relates to the topic, or offering a unique perspective or viewpoint. The key to this technique is to be observant and engaged, while also being respectful of others' privacy and boundaries. Avoid being too intrusive or overbearing in your attempts to join the conversation, as this can come across as rude or insensitive. By using the eavesdropping technique, you can gain valuable insights into the social dynamics of a group, and identify opportunities to connect and contribute in a meaningful way. Technique number 15: Never the Naked City. Never the Naked City is a technique that involves finding ways to add interest and depth to your interactions and conversations, by sharing unique or unexpected details about yourself or your experiences. This technique can help to create more engaging and memorable interactions, and to build stronger connections with the people around you. To implement this technique, start by identifying interesting or unusual details about your life or experiences that you can share with others. This could be something as simple as a unique hobby or interest, a surprising personal fact, or a memorable experience or trip that you've had. As you share these details, be sure to do so in a natural and conversational way, without coming across as boastful or self-centered. Look for opportunities to connect with others through shared experiences or interests, and encourage them to share their own unique perspectives and insights. The key to this technique is to be authentic and genuine in your interactions with others, and to look for opportunities to create more engaging and memorable conversations. Avoid being too self-focused or domineering in your attempts to share your experiences, as this can come across as arrogant or insensitive. Technique number 16. Never the naked job. This is a technique that involves finding ways to add interest and depth to your professional interactions and conversations by sharing unique or unexpected details about your work or career experiences. This technique can help to create more engaging and memorable interactions, and to build stronger connections with colleagues, clients, and other professional contacts. To implement this technique, start by identifying interesting or unusual aspects of your work or career that you can share with others. This could include a particular project you worked on, a unique skill or expertise you possess, or an interesting challenge or problem you solved. As you share these details, be sure to do so in a professional and respectful way, without coming across as boastful or arrogant. Look for opportunities to connect with others through shared professional experiences or interests, and encourage them to share their own perspectives and insights. The key to this technique is to be authentic and genuine in your interactions with others, and to look for opportunities to create more engaging and memorable conversations. Avoid being too focused on yourself or your own accomplishments, and instead focus on building relationships and creating value for others. Technique number 17. Never the naked introduction. This is a technique that involves adding some personality and context to your introductions when introducing yourself or others to new people. This can help to create more engaging and memorable interactions, and to make a stronger connection with the person you are introducing yourself or others to. To implement this technique, start by thinking about how you can add a personal touch or interesting detail to your introduction. This could include mentioning a shared interest or experience, a relevant accomplishment or skill, or a unique aspect of your personality or background. When introducing others, look for ways to provide context or background information that can help to create a more meaningful connection between the two people. This could include mentioning a shared interest or experience, a relevant professional accomplishment, or a unique aspect of their personality or background. The key to this technique is to be authentic and genuine in your introductions, and to focus on creating a connection between the people you are introducing. Avoid being too formal or generic in your introductions, and instead look for opportunities to create a more personal and engaging interaction. Technique number 18. Be a word detective. Be a word detective is a technique that involves paying closer attention to the words and language that people use in their communications, and using this information to create more effective and engaging interactions. To implement this technique, start by paying close attention to the words and language that people use when they communicate with you. Look for patterns or trends in the words they use, and try to identify any key themes or ideas that are important to them. As you listen and observe, make note of any words or phrases that are particularly effective or engaging, and think about how you can incorporate these into your own communication style. Similarly, be aware of any words or phrases that may be off-putting or ineffective, and look for ways to avoid or reframe them in your own communications. The key to this technique is to be a careful and attentive listener, and to use the information you gather to create more effective and engaging interactions with others. By paying closer attention to the words and language that people use, you can better understand their perspectives and needs, and create more meaningful and rewarding relationships in your personal and professional life. Technique 19. The swiveling spotlight. This is a technique that involves being fully present and engaged in your interactions with others, and focusing your attention on the person or people you are communicating with. To implement this technique, start by being fully present in the moment and avoiding distractions. Put away your phone or other devices, and focus your attention on the person or people you are communicating with. As you engage in conversation, use a swiveling spotlight to focus your attention on the person speaking. Pay close attention to their words, body language, and tone of voice, and use active listening skills to ensure that you understand their perspective. When it is your turn to speak, use the same level of focus and attention to deliver your message effectively. Make eye contact, use confident body language, and speak clearly and concisely to convey your thoughts and ideas. Technique number 20. Parroting. This is a technique that involves repeating or summarizing what someone has just said in your own words to confirm your understanding of their message. To implement this technique, listen carefully to what the other person is saying, and then repeat or summarize their message back to them using your own words. For example, you might say, "So, if I understand correctly, you're saying that." Or "Let me make sure I've got this right, you're concerned about." Parroting can be particularly helpful in situations where there may be a risk of miscommunication or misunderstanding. By repeating or summarizing what the other person has said, you can confirm your understanding of their message, and ensure that you are on the same page. In addition to helping to prevent misunderstandings, parroting can also help to build trust and rapport with others. When you take the time to listen carefully to what someone is saying, and then repeat or summarize their message back to them, you demonstrate that you are fully engaged in the conversation, and that you value their perspective. Technique number 21. Encore. This is a technique that involves giving positive feedback and encouragement to others in order to build their confidence and reinforce their behavior. To implement this technique, start by identifying positive behaviors or qualities that you want to reinforce in others. For example, you might want to encourage a co-worker who is taking on a challenging project, or a friend who is working towards a personal goal. When you observe these positive behaviors or qualities, take the time to provide positive feedback and encouragement. You might say something like, "That was really impressive, great job." Or "I'm so proud of you for working towards your goals." In addition to providing verbal feedback, you can also use nonverbal cues to reinforce positive behavior. For example, you might give a thumbs up, nod your head, or offer a high five to show your support and encouragement. The key to the encore technique is to be consistent and sincere in your feedback and encouragement. By reinforcing positive behaviors and qualities, you can help to build others' confidence and motivation, and create a more positive and supportive environment for everyone involved. Technique number 22. AC Center 28 The POSI Tive. AC Center 28 The POSI Tive is a technique that involves focusing on the positive aspects of a situation, rather than dwelling on the negative. To implement this technique, start by reframing negative thoughts or situations in a more positive light. For example, if you are facing a difficult challenge, try to focus on the opportunities it presents for growth and learning, rather than dwelling on the obstacles. Another way to accentuate the positive is to focus on what you can control, rather than what you can't. Instead of worrying about factors outside of your control, focus on the actions you can take to make a positive impact. In addition, try to surround yourself with positive people and influences. Seek out friends, colleagues, or mentors who have a positive outlook on life and can provide encouragement and support. Finally, take time to celebrate your successes and accomplishments, no matter how small. By acknowledging and celebrating your achievements, you can build confidence and motivation, and maintain a positive mindset. Technique number 23. The latest news. Don't leave home without it. This is a technique that involves staying informed and up to date on current events and industry news. To implement this technique, start by identifying reliable sources of news and information in your industry or area of interest. This might include subscribing to industry newsletters, following relevant social media accounts or blogs, or reading publications and news websites. Once you have identified your sources of news and information, make a habit of checking them regularly to stay up to date on the latest developments and trends. This might involve setting aside time each day to read industry news, or scheduling a weekly review of relevant publications or websites. In addition to staying informed on industry news, it can also be helpful to stay abreast of broader current events and trends. This might involve following national or international news sources, or reading publications that cover a wide range of topics. By staying informed and up to date on the latest news and trends, you can stay ahead of the curve and make more informed decisions in your personal and professional life. Additionally, staying informed can help you to anticipate and prepare for future developments and challenges, and stay connected to the broader world around you. Technique number 24. What do you do, not? This is a technique that involves using humor and unexpected responses to deflect or disarm awkward or uncomfortable questions. To implement this technique, start by identifying common or uncomfortable questions that you might encounter in social or professional situations. These might include questions about your personal life, your career, or your beliefs and opinions. Next, come up with humorous or unexpected responses to these questions. For example, if someone asks about your relationship status, you might respond with a quip like, "I'm married to my job." Alternatively, if someone asks about your political beliefs, you might respond with a non-committal statement like, "I prefer to keep my politics to myself." By using humor and unexpected responses, you can deflect or disarm uncomfortable questions, while still maintaining your composure and professionalism. Additionally, this technique can help to build rapport and establish a sense of levity in social or professional situations, making it easier to connect with others and build relationships. Technique number 25. The nutshell resume. This is a technique that involves crafting a concise and compelling summary of your skills, experience, and accomplishments that can be used in a variety of situations, such as networking events or job interviews. To implement this technique, start by identifying the key skills, experience, and accomplishments that make you a strong candidate for your target role or industry. Next, craft a brief summary that highlights these key points, while still being concise and easy to remember. For example, you might say something like, "I'm a seasoned project manager with a track record of delivering complex projects on time and within budget. My experience includes managing cross-functional teams, developing and implementing project plans, and ensuring stakeholder satisfaction." When crafting your nutshell resume, it is important to be specific and use concrete examples to illustrate your strengths and accomplishments. Additionally, it can be helpful to tailor your nutshell resume to the specific audience or situation, highlighting the skills and experience that are most relevant or impressive. Technique 26. Your personal thesaurus. This technique involves expanding your vocabulary and using more sophisticated and varied words in your speech to make a better impression on others. According to Loans, using a rich and varied vocabulary can make you appear more intelligent, educated, and confident in your communication. This can help you to build rapport and establish yourself as an authority in your field. To use this technique, Loans suggests starting by reading widely and making note of any unfamiliar words or phrases. Look up the definitions and try to incorporate them into your speech when appropriate. Additionally, she suggests using a thesaurus to find synonyms for common words, and practicing using these new words in conversation. Loans also warns against using overly complicated or obscure words that may confuse or alienate your audience. Instead, she advises using words that are appropriate for your audience and situation, and making sure that your communication is clear and understandable. Technique number 27, kill the quick, me, too. This technique is about avoiding the habit of jumping into a conversation by saying me, too, or I know what you mean too quickly. According to Loans, this habit can make you appear unoriginal and uninteresting, as well as interrupt the flow of the conversation. Instead, she suggests taking a moment to think about what the speaker has said and finding a more thoughtful and unique way to respond. To use this technique, Loans recommends listening carefully to what the speaker is saying and considering their perspective before responding. She also suggests using open-ended questions to encourage the speaker to elaborate on their ideas and experiences, which can help to build a more engaging and meaningful conversation. By avoiding the quick me, too response and taking a more thoughtful and unique approach to conversation, you can demonstrate your interest and engagement in the topic, as well as your ability to contribute meaningfully to the conversation. This can help you too. Technique number 28, communication. This technique involves tailoring your communication style to match the person you are talking to, in order to build better connections and rapport. According to Loans, people are often most comfortable when they feel that others are similar to them. So adjusting your communication style to match that of the person you are talking to can help to establish a stronger connection. This can involve adapting your language, tone, and body language to match the other person's, as well as paying attention to their interests and preferences in order to find common ground. To use this technique, Loans suggests observing the person you are talking to carefully, and adjusting your communication style accordingly. This might involve mirroring their body language, using similar words and phrases, and asking questions that show you are interested in their perspective. By using communication, you can build stronger connections with others and improve your ability to communicate effectively in a wide range of situations. Technique 29. The exclusive smile. This technique involves using a smile to signal to someone that they are the only person in the room that matters to you at that moment. According to Loans, this smile is different from a regular smile because it is focused entirely on the person you are talking to. To use this technique, Loans suggests making eye contact with the person and giving them a warm, genuine smile that signals your interest in them. The idea is to make them feel like they are the only person in the room that matters to you at that moment. Loans also suggests that the exclusive smile can be paired with other nonverbal cues, such as leaning in slightly, tilting your head, and nodding in agreement, to further signal your interest in the person. By using the exclusive smile, you can make others feel valued and important, which can help to build strong connections and positive relationships. Technique number 30. Don't touch a cliché with a 10-foot pole. This technique is about avoiding the use of overused, common phrases and expressions in conversation. According to Loans, using clichés in conversation can make you appear unoriginal and uninteresting. Instead, she suggests using more descriptive language and specific examples to illustrate your points. For example, instead of saying it was like a needle in a haystack, you could say it was very difficult to find. Instead of saying he's a diamond in the rough, you could say he has a lot of potential, but needs some polishing. By avoiding clichés, you can make your language more engaging and memorable, which can help you to build stronger connections with others. Technique number 31. Use jaw smithers jive. It involves using specific language patterns and phrases to create a more engaging and memorable conversation. According to Loans, Jawsmith's jive is all about using rhythm, alliteration, and repetition in your language to make your words more memorable. For example, you might use a phrase like cunning, charming, and charismatic to describe someone, or use alliteration to create a catchy phrase like jump for joy. Loans also suggests using repetition to reinforce your message. For example, you might say you need to focus, focus, focus to emphasize the importance of concentration. By using Jawsmith's jive, you can make your language more interesting and engaging, which can help you to build stronger connections with others and make a more lasting impression. Technique number 32. Call a spade a spade. This technique involves using straightforward and honest language to express your thoughts and opinions. According to Loans, using direct language can help you to build trust and credibility with others, as they will appreciate your honesty and transparency. However, it's important to use this technique in a respectful and tactful manner, so as not to offend or alienate others. For example, if you disagree with someone, you might say I have a different perspective on this issue instead of you're wrong. Or if you need to deliver criticism, you might say I think there are some areas where we could improve instead of you're doing a terrible job. By using direct and honest language, you can communicate your thoughts and feelings effectively, while still maintaining positive relationships with those around you. Technique number 33. Trash the teasing. It involves focusing on the needs and interests of the person you are communicating with, and adapting your message to fit their preferences. The metaphor of the receiver's ball refers to the idea that the listener has control over the conversation. It is up to them to decide whether to engage with what you are saying, and how to interpret and respond to your message. Therefore, it is important to tailor your communication to suit their needs and interests, rather than just focusing on what you want to say. To apply this technique, you should start by paying close attention to the other person's body language and verbal cues. This can give you valuable insights into what they are thinking and feeling, and help you adapt your message accordingly. You should also aim to use language and examples that resonate with their interests and experiences, and avoid using jargon or technical terms that they may not understand. By making an effort to put the receiver first in your communication, you can build stronger relationships, establish trust and rapport, and achieve greater success in your interactions with others. Technique number 34. It's the receiver's ball. This technique emphasizes the importance of focusing on the needs and interests of the person you are communicating with. The metaphor of the receiver's ball suggests that the listener has control over the conversation. It is up to them to decide whether to engage with what you are saying, and how to interpret and respond to your message. Therefore, it is important to tailor your communication to suit their needs and interests, rather than just focusing on what you want to say. To apply this technique, you should pay close attention to the other person's body language and verbal cues, and adjust your message accordingly. This can help you build stronger relationships, establish trust and rapport, and achieve greater success in your interactions with others. Some tips for applying It's the receiver's ball technique include: 1. Listen actively. Focus on what the other person is saying, and demonstrate your interest through body language, such as nodding or making eye contact. 2. Ask open-ended questions. Encourage the other person to share their thoughts and feelings by asking questions that require more than a yes or no answer. 3. Use empathy. Try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and imagine how they might be feeling. This can help you better understand their perspective and communicate more effectively. Technique number 35. The broken record. This is a simple but effective way to communicate your point without getting sidetracked or derailed. To use this technique, You simply repeat your point over and over again, like a broken record. This technique is especially useful when dealing with someone who is trying to argue with you or change the subject. By repeating your point over and over again, you can stay focused and make it clear what you are trying to communicate. Here are the steps to using the broken record technique. 1. State your point clearly and succinctly. 2. Repeat your point using different wording or phrasing. 3. Keep repeating your point until the other person acknowledges or responds to it. It's important to remember that the broken record technique should be used sparingly and with respect for the other person. It's not meant to be used as a way to bulldoze someone or force them to agree with you. Instead, it's a way to stay focused and communicate your point effectively. Technique number 36. Big shots don't slobber. This technique is all about maintaining your dignity and composure in social and professional situations. When you're around people who are more successful or powerful than you, it can be easy to get starstruck or intimidated. But it's important to remember that you are also a valuable and capable individual. To avoid slobbering and appearing overly eager or submissive, here are some tips. 1. Maintain good posture and body language. Stand tall and make eye contact. 2. Speak confidently and assertively, but don't dominate the conversation. 3. Avoid excessive flattery or fawning over someone. 4. Don't try to impress people by name-dropping or bragging about yourself. 5. Remember that everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses, and that you are just as valuable as anyone else. The key to this technique is to have a healthy sense of self-worth and confidence, while also showing respect for those around you. By maintaining your dignity and composure, you'll be more likely to make a positive impression and build lasting relationships with others. Technique number 37. Never the naked thank you. According to Lael Lowndes, saying thank you is not enough to make an impact on the person you are thanking. Instead, she suggests adding some specific details about what the person did and how it helped you. This creates a more meaningful and memorable thank you. For example, instead of simply saying thank you for helping me, you could say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to help me with that project. Your expertise and guidance really made a difference, and I couldn't have done it without you. By adding specific details, you show that you truly appreciate the person's effort and that you were paying attention to what they did for you. This makes them feel valued and reinforces the positive relationship between the two of you. Technique number 38. Scramble therapy. This is a technique to help you reframe negative thoughts and emotions into positive ones. It involves taking the negative thought and scrambling the words around to create a new and positive statement. For example, if you are feeling anxious about a presentation and thinking I'm going to mess this up, you can use scramble therapy to turn it into a positive thought by saying I can do this presentation with ease and confidence. By reframing your negative thoughts into positive ones, you can change your mindset and outlook, which can help you feel more confident and in control. This technique can be especially helpful for those who struggle with negative self-talk and anxiety. Technique number 39. Learn a little gobbledygook. Gobbledygook refers to using technical jargon and complex language that is specific to a particular field or industry. This technique involves learning a few of these terms and using them strategically in your conversations to appear more knowledgeable and credible. Using gobbledygook can be effective in certain situations, such as when you are trying to impress a potential employer or client in a technical field. However, it is important to use these terms correctly and sparingly, as overuse can come across as pretentious and may actually undermine your credibility. To learn gobbledygook, you can start by researching common technical terms and jargon in your field or industry. You can also attend industry events and conferences to hear experts speak and pick up on their terminology. Just remember to use these terms strategically and appropriately, and to avoid using them as a crutch for lacking knowledge or experience. Technique number 40. Bearing their hot button. This technique is about finding out what a person's hot button is, which is something that triggers strong emotions or reactions in them. Once you know what someone's hot button is, you can use it to your advantage in conversations or negotiations. To find out someone's hot button, you can ask them about something they are passionate about or something that really bothers them. Then, pay attention to their reactions and the language they use when talking about it. This can give you clues as to what their hot button might be. Once you know their hot button, you can use it to your advantage by appealing to it in your conversations or negotiations. For example, if someone is passionate about the environment, you can talk about how your proposal will benefit the environment. Or, if someone is bothered by a particular issue, you can address that issue in your proposal. However, it is important to use this technique ethically and not manipulate or exploit someone's emotions for personal gain. Technique number 41. Read their rags. This technique is about paying attention to the reading materials of the person you want to impress or influence. By doing so, you gain insight into their interests, opinions, and values, and can use that knowledge to connect with them on a deeper level. For example, if you notice someone reading a book about a specific topic, you can ask them questions about it or share your own related experiences or knowledge. This shows that you are genuinely interested in their interests and can help build rapport and trust. Similarly, if you see someone reading a newspaper or magazine, take note of the headlines or articles that catch their attention. This can give you a clue about their current concerns or priorities, which you can use to tailor your conversation or offer solutions to their problems. Overall, reading someone's reading materials can help you gain valuable information about them, and use it to build stronger connections and relationships. Technique number 42. Clear customs. This technique is all about adapting to different cultural norms and customs when communicating with people from diverse backgrounds. Understanding and respecting different customs and traditions can go a long way in building positive relationships and avoiding misunderstandings. To practice this technique, take the time to learn about the customs and traditions of the people you are communicating with. This can include everything from appropriate greetings and gestures to acceptable topics of conversation. Some tips for clear customs include: 1. Research the customs and traditions of the people you will be interacting with before your meeting or conversation. 2. Be aware of your own cultural biases and assumptions, and try to approach the conversation with an open mind. 3. Ask questions and show genuine interest in learning more about the other person's culture. 4. Be willing to adapt your communication style to better align with the other person's cultural norms. 5. Avoid making assumptions or generalizations about people based on their culture or background. Instead, focus on getting to know each individual as a unique person. Technique number 43. Bluffing for bargains. In this technique, the author suggests that you should never accept the first offer in a bargaining situation. Instead, you should always try to negotiate for a better deal. To do this effectively, you need to be willing to walk away from the deal if necessary. The key to successful bargaining is to create the impression that you are not desperate for the item or service being offered. You can do this by using bluffing tactics such as stating that you have other options or are not in a hurry to make a decision. Another important aspect of bluffing for bargains is to focus on the seller's needs and motivations. If you can understand what the seller wants, you can use this information to your advantage in the negotiation. For example, if the seller needs to sell a certain number of items to meet a sales quota, you can use this information to negotiate a lower price. Overall, Bluffing for bargains is about being confident, assertive, and willing to take risks. With practice, you can become a skilled negotiator and get better deals on the things you want. Technique number 44. Be a copy class. This technique involves subtly copying the behavior of someone you admire or want to impress. By mirroring their body language, tone of voice, and other nonverbal cues, you can create a sense of rapport and connection with them. To use this technique effectively, start by observing the person's behavior and mannerisms. Pay attention to the way they speak, their posture, and how they interact with others. Then, try to mimic some of these behaviors in a subtle and natural way. Don't overdo it, or it may come across as insincere or creepy. Copying someone's behavior can create a sense of familiarity and trust, making them more likely to feel comfortable and open up to you. It can also help build a connection and rapport, making them more likely to see you as a peer or ally. However, it's important to use this technique with care and not to manipulate or deceive others. Technique number 45. Echoing. Echoing is a technique that involves repeating back what someone has just said to you, using their own words. It shows that you are actively listening and paying attention to what the person is saying, which can help build rapport and trust. To use echoing, simply wait until the person has finished speaking, and then repeat back to them what they just said, using their own words as much as possible. For example, if someone says I'm feeling really stressed out at work, you might say so you're saying that work has been causing you a lot of stress lately. By echoing, you can help the person feel heard and understood, and encourage them to open up further. It can also help you clarify what the person is saying, and ensure that you have a shared understanding of the conversation. Technique number 46. Potent imaging. This is a technique used to create vivid and compelling mental images that can help you achieve your goals. To use this technique, you need to imagine your desired outcome in great detail, using all your senses to create a realistic picture in your mind. For example, if your goal is to ace an upcoming job interview, you could use potent imaging to visualize yourself walking confidently into the interview room, greeting the interviewer with a warm smile, and answering their questions with ease and confidence. To make your imaging even more potent, you can use positive affirmations and visualization techniques to reinforce your desired outcome. By repeating positive affirmations and vividly visualizing your desired outcome, you can build confidence and motivation, and increase your chances of success. Technique number 47. Employ empathizers. Empathizers are words or phrases that help you communicate empathy and understanding to the person you are speaking with. By using empathizers, you show the other person that you are actively listening and that you care about their feelings and perspectives. Some examples of empathizers include, I can imagine that must have been really difficult for you. It sounds like you've been through a lot. I understand how you feel. That sounds frustrating, sad, overwhelming, etc. Using empathizers can help you build rapport and trust with others, as it shows that you are not only interested in what they have to say, but that you also understand and empathize with their experiences. Technique number 48. Anatomically correct empathizers. Anatomically correct empathizers is a technique that involves using the proper anatomical terms when expressing empathy or concern for someone. By using the correct terms, it shows that you are knowledgeable about their situation and care enough to use the appropriate language. For example, instead of saying I'm sorry your stomach hurts, you could say, I'm sorry you're experiencing abdominal pain. By using the medical term, it shows that you have some understanding of what they are going through and that you take their pain seriously. Similarly, instead of saying I hope your arm feels better soon, you could say I hope your brachial region is healing well. Again, using the anatomically correct terms shows that you are knowledgeable and genuinely concerned about their well-being. Overall, this technique can help to build trust and rapport with the person you are speaking to, as it shows that you are invested in their health and well-being. Technique number 49. The premature WE. The premature WE technique is all about creating a sense of togetherness and shared goals with the person or people you are communicating with. Instead of saying I or you, use we to describe an action or situation that you and the other person or people are involved in. For example, instead of saying I need you to do this, say we need to work together to achieve this goal. This creates a feeling of partnership and shared responsibility, making the other person more likely to be invested in the outcome. It also shows that you are willing to take on some of the responsibility for the situation, rather than putting it all on the other person. However, it's important to use this technique appropriately and only when there is a genuine sense of shared goals or responsibility. Using we too early or without a basis of mutual trust and understanding can come across as disingenuous or manipulative. Technique number 50. Instant history. Instant history refers to the ability to create a shared sense of history or experience with someone, even if you have just met them. This can be achieved by using phrases or references that imply a shared cultural or personal experience, such as quoting a famous movie or referencing a past event. By creating this sense of shared experience, you can quickly establish a rapport with someone and make them feel more comfortable around you. It can also help to break the ice and start a conversation. For example, if you meet someone who is wearing a t-shirt with a reference to a band you like, you could mention that you also love that band and talk about a concert you attended. This creates an instant connection and gives you both something to talk about. Overall, instant history can be a useful tool for building relationships and connecting with others. Technique number 51. Grapevine glory. This technique involves using the grapevine, which is the informal network of communication that exists in any group or organization, to your advantage. The idea is to use the grapevine to spread positive information about yourself or your ideas. To do this, you need to identify key people in the grapevine who are respected and influential. You can then share your message with these individuals and ask them to spread the word to others in the grapevine. It's important to note that this technique should be used ethically and with caution. You don't want to spread false or misleading information, and you don't want to alienate people in the grapevine who may feel that you're trying to manipulate them. When used appropriately, however, grapevine glory can be a powerful tool for getting your message out and building support for your ideas. Technique number 52. Carrier pigeon kudos. This technique involves giving praise and recognition to someone indirectly by speaking positively about them to others who will then relay the message back to the person. It is called carrier pigeon kudos because the praise is carried back to the person like a message being delivered by a carrier pigeon. For example, if you want to praise a co-worker for their hard work on a project, you could tell another co-worker how impressed you were with their dedication and attention to detail. The other co-worker will then pass on the message, and the person being praised will feel good knowing that their hard work has been noticed and appreciated. This technique can be especially effective in workplace settings where direct praise may not be as common, or where giving praise directly could be seen as inappropriate or awkward. By using carrier pigeon kudos, you can still show your appreciation and boost morale without making anyone feel uncomfortable. Technique number 53. Implied magnificence. This is a persuasion technique that involves highlighting the prestige, success, and influence associated with the person or entity you are trying to persuade. By emphasizing the subject's excellence, you can create an emotional connection with the listener and make them more receptive to your message. For example, a salesperson might use implied magnificence to persuade a potential client to buy their product by highlighting the impressive companies and individuals who are already using it. By mentioning that the product is used by successful businesses and influential people, the salesperson is implying that the product is of high quality and has value. Another example is a job candidate emphasizing the prestigious companies they have worked for or the influential people they have worked with. By highlighting their connections to successful and influential entities, the candidate is implying that they are competent and valuable. The key to using implied magnificence is to find a way to connect the subject to something impressive or influential. By creating this association, you can leverage the positive emotions associated with the impressive entity to make your message more compelling. Technique number 54. Accidental adulation. This technique involves giving someone praise or admiration unintentionally, but in a way that makes them feel good about themselves. It's about highlighting positive aspects of someone's personality or accomplishments without making it seem like you're trying too hard or being insincere. This technique can be especially effective in building rapport with someone who may be initially guarded or skeptical. For example, let's say you're meeting a potential client for the first time. You might say something like, "Wow, you have such an impressive track record. I can see why so many people want to work with you." By doing so, you're complimenting them without coming across as overly eager or insincere. It's important to be authentic and genuine with your praise, as people can often tell when someone is being disingenuous. Technique number 55. Killer compliment. A killer compliment is a compliment that is so specific, sincere, and unexpected that it makes a powerful impact on the person receiving it. To deliver a killer compliment, you need to be observant and creative. Look for something unique or special about the person that you can genuinely praise. For example, instead of saying "You look nice today," you might say, "I really love the color of your shirt. It brings out your eyes beautifully." Or instead of saying "Good job," you might say, "I was really impressed with how you handled that difficult situation. Your professionalism and calmness were really admirable." The key to a killer compliment is to make it personal and genuine. The compliment should be tailored to the person and the situation, and it should come from a place of sincerity. When done correctly, a killer compliment can make someone's day and leave a lasting positive impression. Technique number 56. Little strokes. The little strokes technique is about showing appreciation and giving compliments in small, but consistent ways. Rather than waiting for a big achievement or milestone to praise someone, this technique involves finding little things to praise and compliment on a regular basis. For example, if someone on your team does a great job on a project, instead of waiting until the end to give them a big compliment, you could give them small compliments throughout the project. This could be as simple as saying "Great idea" or "Nice work" after they share an idea or make progress on a task. The key is to make these compliments genuine and specific, so the recipient feels valued and appreciated. Over time, these little strokes of praise can add up to a big boost in confidence and motivation. Technique number 57. The knee-jerk wow. This is a technique that involves responding immediately and enthusiastically to an idea, suggestion, or accomplishment presented by someone else. The idea behind this technique is to show genuine interest and excitement in what the other person is saying or doing, and to encourage them to continue with their efforts. When you hear something that impresses you or that you find interesting, respond with a quick and enthusiastic wow. This simple reaction can help boost the other person's confidence and motivate them to keep going. It also shows that you are actively listening and engaged in the conversation. It's important to note that this technique should be used genuinely and not as a way to manipulate or flatter someone. People can often tell when compliments are insincere or forced, so it's essential to be authentic in your reactions. Technique number 58. Boomeranging. Boomeranging is a technique that involves turning a negative comment or situation into a positive one. Instead of getting defensive or upset when someone criticizes or insults you, you can acknowledge their point of view and use it as an opportunity to show your strength or abilities. For example, if someone says that you're not very good at a particular task, you can respond by saying something like, "You're right, I'm still learning, but I'm really committed to improving and I know I'll get better with practice." The idea behind boomeranging is to take control of the conversation and use it to your advantage, rather than letting someone else dictate the terms. By responding in a positive and constructive way, you can show that you're confident and capable, and that you're willing to work to overcome any obstacles or challenges that come your way. Boomeranging can be a powerful tool in both personal and professional settings, helping you to build stronger relationships and achieve your goals more effectively. Technique number 59. The tombstone game. This technique involves asking important people in your life what they would like engraved on their tombstone, remembering their response, and using it as a way to express appreciation or love to them in the future. The idea behind this technique is that when you feed someone's deepest self-image to them in a compliment, it can be a powerful way to make them feel seen and valued. By taking the time to ask this question and remembering their response, you show that you care about what matters most to them. When you use their chosen words to express gratitude or affection, it can make them feel deeply understood and appreciated. However, it's important to use this technique with care and sensitivity. While it can be a powerful tool for expressing love and appreciation, it's important to make sure you're not using someone's words against them or making them feel uncomfortable. Use this technique thoughtfully and with genuine care for the people in your life. Technique number 60. Talking gestures. Talking gestures refer to the nonverbal communication that accompanies spoken words, such as hand and body movements, facial expressions, and tone of voice. This technique involves using deliberate and purposeful gestures to enhance your message and help your audience better understand and engage with what you are saying. For example, if you are discussing something that is large or expansive, you might use a wide arm gesture to illustrate the point. Or, if you are discussing something that is complex, you might use hand movements to break it down into smaller parts. The key is to make sure that your gestures are natural and authentic, and that they enhance your message rather than distracting from it. Studies have shown that incorporating talking gestures into your communication can help to increase engagement and improve comprehension, as well as make you appear more confident and charismatic. So, whether you are giving a presentation, having a conversation, or making a speech, consider incorporating some purposeful gestures to help bring your words to life. Technique number 61. Name shower. Name shower is a technique that involves addressing people by their names frequently during conversations. It is a simple but powerful way to establish a connection with others and make them feel valued. Using someone's name during a conversation can help to create a sense of intimacy and build trust. When you use a person's name, it shows that you are paying attention to them and that you care about what they have to say. However, it is important to use this technique in moderation. Overusing a person's name can seem insincere and annoying, so it's important to find a balance. Aim to use someone's name once or twice during a conversation, or when appropriate, such as when greeting them or thanking them for their contribution to the conversation. Overall, the name shower technique can be a powerful tool in building stronger relationships and making others feel valued and appreciated. Technique number 62. "Oh wow, it's you." This is a technique that involves expressing genuine surprise and excitement upon seeing someone you know, even if it's just a casual acquaintance. This technique can be used to make the person feel valued and important, and it can help build a stronger connection with them. When you see someone you know, instead of just nodding and saying hello, try saying something like, "Oh wow, it's so great to see you." Or, "Hey, how are you? I haven't seen you in forever." This will show the person that you are happy to see them and that you value their presence. Using this technique consistently can help build stronger relationships with people in your life, even those who you may not have previously had a strong connection with. It shows that you are interested in them and care about them, which can lead to deeper conversations and a stronger bond. Technique number 63, the sneaky screen. The sneaky screen technique involves using a third party to deliver your message or compliment to the person you want to impress. This can be a friend, colleague, or even a stranger who has a connection to the person. For example, you might ask a friend who knows the person to mention how much you admire their work or talents in a casual conversation. Or, you might leave a note or message for the person through a mutual acquaintance, expressing your admiration or appreciation for them. The benefit of using this technique is that it allows you to convey your message without appearing too direct or obvious, which can sometimes make people uncomfortable or defensive. It also creates a sense of intrigue and mystery, which can make the recipient feel more special and valued. Technique number 64, salute the spouse. When someone shares something great that they've done or accomplished, don't forget to acknowledge and celebrate their significant other as well. For example, if a colleague tells you about a promotion they received, say something like, "Congratulations to you and your spouse," or, "I'm sure your spouse is so proud of you." This technique is important because oftentimes a person's success is not achieved alone, and their spouse or partner has likely played a significant role in their achievements. By acknowledging and celebrating their spouse, you not only show respect and appreciation for their support, but also strengthen your relationship with the person you are speaking with. Technique number 66, constantly changing outgoing message. This technique suggests that to be perceived as conscientious and reliable, one should leave a short, professional, and friendly greeting as their outgoing message. The message should be straightforward and simple without any unnecessary elements such as music, jokes, inspirational messages, or boasts. The key to this technique is to change your outgoing message every day. By doing so, you show that you are paying attention to your communication and care about keeping things up to date. This demonstrates a level of professionalism and attention to detail that can make a positive impression on those who call you. It is important to note that the message doesn't have to be perfect or flawless. In fact, a small cough or stammer can give the message a lovely unpretentious reality, which can further enhance your credibility and likability. Technique number 67, your 10-second. According to Loans, the first 10 seconds of a conversation are critical in forming a lasting impression. During this time, the person you are speaking with will be evaluating your appearance, tone of voice, and body language. By using the 10-second audition technique, you can make a positive first impression and set the tone for a successful conversation. To execute the technique, Loans recommends the following. 1. Stand tall and make eye contact. 2. Smile warmly and use a confident tone of voice. 3. Begin the conversation with a positive, upbeat comment or greeting. 4. Use the person's name in the greeting or comment. 5. Show genuine interest in the person by asking a question or making a comment based on something they said. By following these steps, you can quickly establish a positive rapport with the person you are speaking with and set the stage for a successful conversation. The technique can be applied in a variety of settings, including business meetings, social events, and personal interactions. Technique number 68, the ho-hum caper. The ho-hum caper involves using a technique called underpromise and overdeliver to make a lasting impression. The idea is to play down your abilities or downplay the significance of what you are about to do or deliver, so that the other person's expectations are low. Then, when you deliver, exceed their expectations and leave them feeling impressed and grateful. For example, if you have a work deadline, you might say, "I should be able to get that done by the end of the week, but I can't make any promises." Then, if you're able to complete the work ahead of schedule and deliver it early, your boss or colleague will be pleasantly surprised and impressed. The key is to not oversell yourself or your abilities, and to be humble and realistic in your promises. This way, when you do deliver, it will feel like a pleasant surprise and you'll stand out as someone who goes above and beyond. Technique number 69. I hear your other line. This technique involves pretending to hear a conversation on the other end of the line while on the phone with someone, and then apologizing for interrupting and letting them continue the supposed conversation. This creates the impression that you are busy and in demand, and can make the person you are speaking with feel more important. However, it's important to use this technique carefully and sparingly, as it can come across as rude or insincere if overused. It's also important to be subtle and not make the pretend conversation too obvious or distracting. Technique number 70. Instant replay by Lael Loans. The technique involves briefly repeating or summarizing what the other person has said to you in your own words, and then adding a comment or question about it. By doing this, you show that you were paying attention to what the person said, that you understand their perspective, and that you are interested in continuing the conversation. It also gives the other person an opportunity to clarify their thoughts or elaborate on their point if needed. For example, if someone tells you about their recent vacation, you could use instant replay by saying something like, "So you went to Hawaii last week and had a great time exploring the beaches and trying out local cuisine. What was your favorite restaurant there?" This shows that you were listening and also opens up the conversation for further discussion. Overall, the instant replay technique can help build rapport and strengthen relationships by showing that you value and respect the other person's thoughts and opinions. Technique number 71. Munching or mingling. According to Loans, if you want to maximize your chances of making connections at a social event, you should choose to mingle instead of munch. When you're munching, you're focused on eating and may miss out on opportunities to meet new people or deepen existing relationships. On the other hand, when you're mingling, you're open and approachable, and more likely to strike up conversations with others. If you're at a sit-down dinner, Loans suggests eating only half of your meal and spending the rest of the time socializing. If you're at a cocktail party, try holding a drink in your left hand so that your right hand is free to shake hands and exchange business cards. Technique number 72. Rubberneck the room. Rubbernecking the room is a technique to make others feel important and valued by paying attention to what they have in their environment. The idea is to notice something unique or interesting in someone's office, home, or other space and comment on it. For example, if you notice a unique piece of artwork on the wall, you can ask about it and show genuine interest in learning more. This not only shows that you are observant and curious, but also that you are interested in the other person's life and what they value. Rubbernecking the room can be a great way to build rapport and establish a connection with someone. It shows that you are paying attention to their environment and care about what is important to them. By acknowledging their interests and passions, you can create a more meaningful conversation and establish a stronger relationship. Technique number 73. Be the chooser, not the choosee. This is technique that helps you take control of situations and conversations by becoming the decision maker rather than waiting to be chosen. This technique can be applied in various settings, from personal relationships to business negotiations. In personal relationships, being the chooser means actively deciding what you want in a partner or friend, rather than waiting for someone to choose you. It involves taking the initiative to express your needs, desires, and boundaries clearly and assertively. By doing so, you become more attractive to others because you exude confidence and self-assurance. You also avoid wasting time and emotional energy on relationships that don't align with your values and goals. For example, if you're looking for a romantic partner, you might create a list of qualities and values that are important to you, such as honesty, humor, and ambition. Then, you can actively seek out individuals who possess those qualities, rather than waiting for someone to approach you. By being the chooser, you take control of your love life and increase your chances of finding a compatible partner. In business negotiations, being the chooser means having a clear understanding of your goals and objectives and being willing to walk away from deals that don't meet your needs. It involves being assertive and confident in your communication, and not settling for less than what you deserve. For example, if you're negotiating a job offer, you might have a clear idea of your desired salary, benefits, and work-life balance. You can communicate these needs clearly to your potential employer and be willing to walk away from the deal if it doesn't meet your criteria. By being the chooser, you avoid being taken advantage of and increase your chances of getting what you want. Being the chooser also involves taking responsibility for your own happiness and success. Instead of waiting for others to give you opportunities, you create them for yourself by taking action and pursuing your goals. This mindset can lead to greater fulfillment and satisfaction in all areas of life. Technique number 74. Come hither hands. This technique involves the use of hand gestures and movements to make the person feel welcomed and comfortable. The name of the technique derives from the fact that it aims to beckon or invite the other person to engage in the conversation further. One of the most effective ways to use come hither hands is to open up your body language by uncrossing your arms and legs, which can create a barrier between you and the other person. This open posture will signal that you are open to communication and willing to engage in a conversation. Another way to use come hither hands is to make gentle, inviting gestures with your hands, such as extending your palm towards the other person or leaning slightly forward to show that you are interested in what they have to say. Additionally, using hand gestures can help to emphasize the points you are making you more engaging and persuasive. For example, you can use your hands to illustrate a point or to emphasize a key message in your conversation. This can help to capture the attention of the other person and make them feel more engaged in the conversation. When using come hither hands, it is important to be mindful of the other person's comfort level and personal space. You do not want to be too aggressive or make them feel uncomfortable with your gestures. It is essential to keep your movements slow and natural, avoiding any sudden or jerky motions. Technique number 75. Tracking. This technique involves subtly mimicking the body language and movements of the person you're speaking with. By doing this, you can establish a connection with the other person, build rapport, and create a sense of familiarity. Tracking involves mirroring the other person's posture, gestures, and even facial expressions. For example, if the person you're speaking with leans forward, you may also lean forward. If they cross their legs, you may also cross your legs. If they nod their head, you may also nod your head. The key to successful tracking is to do it subtly and without drawing attention to it. You don't want to make the other person feel uncomfortable or like you're copying them. Instead, you want to create a sense of connection and understanding. Technique number 76. The business card dossier. The business card dossier is a technique for improving your communication and networking skills by creating a record of the personal information you receive from people you meet. This technique is particularly useful in business situations where you meet many people at networking events or conferences. To use this technique, carry a small notebook or use an app on your phone to record the details of the person you meet, including their name, job title, company, and any other relevant information they share with you during your conversation. Additionally, you can add a note or two about any interesting topics that you discussed or something that you found particularly memorable about the person. Another important element of this technique is to keep the business cards of the people you meet. It's good etiquette to ask for someone's business card, and it also provides a physical record of their contact information. After the meeting, you can staple the business card to your notes or add the information to your electronic file. The benefits of using the business card dossier technique are numerous. Firstly, it helps you remember important details about the people you meet, which can help you build stronger relationships with them in the future. By taking the time to write down details about the person and their interests, you can show them that you value their conversation and are interested in getting to know them better. This can also help you follow up with them later, whether it's to discuss a business opportunity or simply to keep in touch. Technique number 77. Eyeball selling. This is a technique used to persuade or influence others through eye contact. It involves using eye contact to convey confidence, sincerity, and interest in what the other person is saying. When you make eye contact with someone, it sends a message that you are interested in them and what they are saying. This can help establish trust and build rapport with the person. To use this technique effectively, it's important to maintain eye contact without staring or making the other person uncomfortable. You can also use eye contact to show empathy and understanding by nodding your head and maintaining eye contact as they speak. Eyeball selling can be used in a variety of situations, including sales, job interviews, negotiations, and networking events. In sales, for example, maintaining eye contact with a potential customer can help establish a connection and build trust. In a job interview, maintaining eye contact with the interviewer can convey confidence and interest in the position. Eyeball selling can be used in a variety of situations, including sales, job interviews, negotiations, and networking events. In sales, for example, maintaining eye contact with a potential customer can help establish a connection and build trust. In a job interview, maintaining eye contact with the interviewer can convey confidence and interest in the position. Technique number 78. See no bloopers, hear no bloopers. This is a technique for making others feel comfortable and at ease by not drawing attention to their mistakes or shortcomings. The idea is to focus on the positive aspects of a person's communication rather than the negative. By doing so, you can help build their confidence and create a more positive relationship. One way to practice this technique is to avoid pointing out mistakes or correcting someone when they make a verbal slip-up. Instead, you can acknowledge the message they were trying to convey and respond to that instead. For example, if someone says, "I seen that movie last night," instead of correcting them by saying, "I think you mean, I saw that movie last night," you can simply respond with, "Oh, what did you think of it?" Another way to practice this technique is to avoid reacting negatively to someone's nonverbal communication. For example, if someone fidgets or avoids eye contact while speaking, you can choose not to draw attention to it or make them feel self-conscious. Instead, you can focus on the content of their message and respond accordingly. Technique number 79. Lend a helping tongue. The key to making people feel appreciated and valued is to listen to them carefully and offer your help when you can. This technique involves paying attention to the people around you and looking for opportunities to lend a helping hand. To begin with, it's important to be a good listener. When someone is talking to you, make sure you're fully present and focused on what they're saying. Don't interrupt or jump in with your own thoughts or opinions. Instead, let them finish their sentences and then respond with empathy and understanding. Once you've established a good rapport with someone, look for ways to offer your assistance. Maybe they mentioned a project they're working on and could use an extra set of hands, or perhaps they're struggling with a personal issue and could benefit from some advice or support. When offering your help, be specific about what you can do and how you can assist them. Avoid vague offers like "let me know if you need anything" and instead suggest concrete actions you can take. For example, "I'd be happy to review your proposal and offer some feedback," or "I have some experience with that issue and would be happy to share some advice." Technique number 80. Bear the buried WIIFM and WIIFY. WIIM stands for "What's in it for me," and WIIFY stands for "What's in it for you." In any interaction or communication, it's important to address these questions because ultimately people want to know how they will benefit from what you're saying or offering. The technique of bear the buried WIIFM and WIIFY involves making sure that you explicitly address the benefits for both parties in any conversation or negotiation. Don't assume that the other person will understand what's in it for them. Spell it out clearly. For example, if you're trying to sell a product, instead of just listing the features, focus on how those features will benefit the customer. Will it save them time or money? Will it make their life easier or more enjoyable? Make sure to communicate those benefits clearly. Similarly, if you're in a negotiation, don't just focus on what you want. Think about what the other party wants and how you can frame your proposal in a way that addresses their needs and concerns as well as your own. Technique number 81. Let M savor. This is a technique to make people feel good about themselves and to remember the interaction positively. The technique involves doing something kind or helpful for someone and then allowing them to feel the full impact of the gesture before moving on. The key to this technique is to resist the urge to immediately move on or make light of the gesture. Instead, allow the other person to fully savor the moment and feel appreciated. For example, if you go out of your way to help a coworker with a project, take a moment to acknowledge their hard work and thank them for allowing you to help. This technique works because it taps into our natural desire to feel appreciated and valued. When we feel like someone has gone out of their way to help us, we are more likely to remember the interaction positively and to feel positively towards the person who helped us. In order to use this technique effectively, it's important to be genuine in your gesture and to give the other person time to fully appreciate it. Don't rush to move on to the next thing or to make light of the situation. Instead, allow the other person to savor the favor and to feel appreciated. Technique number 82. Tip 4. Wait. Wait, TAT. This is a technique that involves delaying your response to someone who has made a request or an offer, even if you are inclined to agree with them. By waiting a moment before responding, you create a sense of tension and uncertainty in the other person, which can make them more eager to accept your response and more likely to view it as a favor. The key to this technique is to not keep the other person waiting too long. You want to create a sense of anticipation, not frustration or annoyance. A short pause or delay can be enough to create the desired effect. Additionally, you should always respond in a polite and respectful manner, even if you ultimately decline the request or offer. This technique can be useful in a variety of situations, such as negotiations, sales, and even personal relationships. By delaying your response, You can create a sense of value and importance around your decision, which can make the other person more willing to accept it. It's important to note, however, that this technique should be used with discretion. Overuse of this technique can come across as manipulative or insincere, and can ultimately damage relationships and trust. Technique number 83. Parties are for Prata is all about making the most of social events and using them as an opportunity to connect with new people. The key to success is to be a great conversationalist, and this means being able to talk about a wide range of topics that are interesting to the people you are speaking with. When you attend a party, it's important to arrive with a positive attitude and an open mind. Be friendly and approachable, and don't be afraid to strike up a conversation with someone new. It's also a good idea to come prepared with a few conversation starters in mind, such as asking about their work or hobbies. Once you are engaged in a conversation, make sure to actively listen to the other person and show genuine interest in what they have to say. Ask open-ended questions to keep the conversation flowing, and be sure to share your own thoughts and experiences as well. One great technique for keeping a conversation going is to use the Ford method, which stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. These are 4 topics that people tend to be passionate about, and they can provide a wealth of material for conversation. Another important thing to keep in mind when attending a party is to avoid controversial topics that could potentially turn people off, or make them feel uncomfortable. Stick to safe topics that are easy to talk about, such as travel, movies, or sports. Finally, it's important to remember that parties are meant to be fun and enjoyable, so don't put too much pressure on yourself to make every conversation a meaningful one. Sometimes it's okay to just chat about the weather or the food, and that can still lead to a pleasant social interaction. This is where technique number 83, parties are for Prata, comes in handy. The first step is to arrive early. This way, you can greet the host or hostess and mingle with early arrivals. Use the opportunity to make connections and find common ground with other guests. When engaging in conversation, avoid small talk and instead, ask open-ended questions. This will encourage the other person to share more about themselves, which will make for a more interesting conversation. Another key tip is to listen attentively. People appreciate being heard and understood, so make an effort to really listen to what the other person is saying. Show genuine interest by asking follow-up questions and making connections to what they've shared. It's also important to be positive and optimistic. People are attracted to those who radiate positive energy and enthusiasm. Avoid complaining or criticizing, as this can put a damper on the conversation and turn people off. If you're feeling nervous or unsure about what to say, try practicing beforehand. Think of some conversation starters or interesting topics to discuss. You can also do some research on the guests who will be attending the party, and prepare some questions or comments specific to their interests or background. Technique number 84, dinners for dining. This is a technique that emphasizes the importance of good manners and etiquette during a meal. The idea is that if you show respect and consideration for others at the dinner table, you will leave a positive and lasting impression. Some tips for practicing this technique include: 1. Be punctual, arrive on time for the dinner and avoid being late, which can inconvenience your host and disrupt the schedule. 2. Dress appropriately. Dress appropriately for the occasion and the dress code specified by your host. 3. Table manners. Observe good table manners, such as waiting for everyone to be seated before beginning to eat, using utensils properly, and not talking with your mouth full. 4. Conversation. Engage in polite and interesting conversation with your fellow guests. Avoid controversial topics, such as politics or religion, and instead focus on topics that are interesting and engaging for everyone. 5. Gratitude. Thank your host for the invitation and express your appreciation for the meal and the effort that went into preparing it. By following these tips, you can ensure that you leave a positive impression on your host and fellow guests. Technique number 85. Chance encounters are for chit-chat. This is a communication technique that encourages people to engage in small talk and conversation with strangers or acquaintances they meet by chance. This technique recognizes the potential value of brief interactions, even with people we may never see again. It's an opportunity to practice social skills, be friendly, and make connections. When encountering someone by chance, such as in an elevator or waiting in line, a simple greeting can be used as an opening. Asking a question, giving a compliment, or commenting on the situation can be a way to initiate a conversation. Small talk is not necessarily about sharing deep, personal information, but rather engaging in light and easy conversation. Being present in the moment, showing interest, and being a good listener are all important elements of successful chit-chat. Using this technique can lead to unexpected benefits, such as building new connections or expanding social circles. It can also improve communication skills and help overcome shyness or social anxiety. Technique number 86. Empty their tanks. This is a communication technique that involves actively listening to others and encouraging them to share their thoughts and feelings. The idea behind this technique is to give people a chance to empty their tanks and share everything that's on their mind, whether it's good or bad. To use this technique, you need to be a good listener. You should pay attention to what the other person is saying and respond in a way that shows you understand and care. It's important to be non-judgmental and to avoid interrupting or trying to solve the other person's problems. One way to encourage someone to empty their tank is to use open-ended questions that invite them to share more. For example, you might ask, "How have you been feeling lately?" Or "What's been on your mind lately?" It's also important to create a safe and comfortable environment for the other person. This means being supportive and empathetic, and avoiding criticism or judgment. You can show your support by nodding, using encouraging body language, and offering words of validation or reassurance. The benefits of using this technique include building trust and strengthening relationships. When people feel heard and understood, they are more likely to feel connected and valued. They may also be more likely to return the favor and listen to you when you need to empty your own tank. Technique number 87. Echo the emo. This is a communication technique that involves reflecting and validating the emotions of the person you are speaking with. This technique is particularly effective in building rapport and establishing trust in relationships. To use this technique, you should listen carefully to the person's emotional state and reflect back what they are feeling. You can do this by using phrases such as "It sounds like you're feeling," "I can sense that you're," or "It seems like you're experiencing." By acknowledging their emotions, you are showing that you understand and empathize with their situation, which can help them feel heard and validated. It's important to note that this technique should be used with authenticity and sincerity. If you come across as insincere or disingenuous, it could actually damage the relationship rather than build it up. Make sure to truly listen to the person and reflect back their emotions in a genuine way. Technique number 88. My goof, your gain. This is a communication technique that involves taking responsibility for a mistake or error and turning it into an opportunity to benefit the other person. The idea behind this technique is that when we make a mistake, we often feel embarrassed or defensive. However, by acknowledging the mistake and taking ownership of it, we can actually improve our relationships with others and show them that we value their time and opinions. For example, if you were late to a meeting with a colleague, you might say something like, "I'm so sorry for being late. I got stuck in traffic and lost track of time." but I wanted to make sure we had enough time to discuss your ideas, so why don't you go ahead and share your thoughts while I take notes? In this way, you not only apologize for your mistake but also show that you are actively interested in their ideas and willing to make up for lost time. By turning your mistake into an opportunity for the other person, you can build trust and respect in your professional and personal relationship. Technique number 89. Leave an escape hatch. This technique involves giving the other person an out when you ask for a favor or propose a plan. By providing an escape hatch, you make the other person feel less trapped and more in control of the situation, which can increase their willingness to agree to your request. For example, instead of saying, "Can you help me move this weekend?" you could say, "I'm moving this weekend and was wondering if you might be available to help. But I completely understand if you have other plans." By acknowledging the other person's potential conflict and giving them an out, you make the request less daunting and less likely to elicit a negative response. Leaving an escape hatch can also work in business situations. For instance, if you're trying to sell a product or service to a potential client, you could say something like, "I'd love to set up a meeting to discuss this further, but I understand if you're not interested at this time." By doing so, you're respecting the other person's autonomy and decision-making power while still making your pitch. The key to using this technique effectively is to make the escape hatch sound genuine and not like a manipulation tactic. If the other person feels like you're being disingenuous or using the escape hatch as a way to pressure them into agreeing, it could backfire and damage your relationship. Technique number 90. Buttercups for their boss. This technique is all about building better relationships with your boss or supervisor. The goal is to make them feel appreciated and valued, which can lead to better communication, more trust, and ultimately, better opportunities for growth and success in your career. To apply this technique, you should start by identifying something positive about your boss or their work. It could be something they said in a meeting, a successful project they completed, or even something as simple as their taste in music or clothing. Once you have identified this positive attribute, make sure to express your appreciation for it to your boss. There are several ways you can express appreciation to your boss, such as 1. Verbal compliments. When you see your boss doing something well, don't be afraid to give them a genuine compliment. For example, "I really admire your ability to stay calm under pressure." 2. Thank you notes. If your boss goes out of their way to help you or if they do something particularly noteworthy, consider writing a thank you note to show your appreciation. 3. Public recognition. If you have an opportunity to speak in front of others about your boss or their work, be sure to highlight their positive attributes. 4. Small gestures. You can also show your appreciation through small gestures, such as bringing in their favorite coffee or pastry in the morning. It's important to note that while showing appreciation to your boss can be beneficial, it should be done sincerely and without the expectation of something in return. The goal is to build a better relationship, not to manipulate or flatter your boss. Technique number 91. Lead the listeners. This is a technique that helps in making a lasting impression and creating a sense of authority while communicating with others. To lead the listeners, one needs to follow these tips. 1. Start with a clear message. It's essential to begin the conversation with a clear message. A message that quickly summarizes the purpose of the communication helps set the tone for the rest of the conversation. 2. Use power words. Power words are persuasive and can help communicate with authority. Examples of power words include proven, results, solutions, expertise, success, etc. 3. Be confident. Confidence is key while communicating. When you speak confidently, it instills trust in the listener and creates a sense of authority. 4. Use storytelling techniques. Using storytelling techniques to convey your message can help to make it more relatable to your listeners. You can tell stories that illustrate your message, anecdotes, or even personal experiences to help connect with your audience. 5. Use eye contact. Making eye contact while communicating is crucial. It helps you to connect with the listener and make them feel like they are being heard. 6. Use pauses. Pausing while speaking can help emphasize key points and give the listener time to absorb the message. 7. Keep it simple. Simplicity is key. Avoid using complex language and jargon that may confuse or intimidate the listener. Leading the listeners is about projecting confidence, authority, and creating a sense of connection with the audience. By following these tips, one can effectively communicate and make a lasting impression. Technique number 92. The Great Scorecard in the Sky is all about being aware of the long-term consequences of your actions and decisions. According to Lael Lowndes, every interaction you have with others is like a transaction, and each transaction can either earn you a positive or negative mark on the scorecard in the sky. The scorecard in the sky represents the overall impression that people have of you based on your past actions and interactions. It's like a mental record that people keep of how you have treated them in the past, and it affects how they view you and whether they want to continue interacting with you in the future. To ensure that you earn positive marks on the scorecard in the sky, Lowndes recommends that you always act with integrity, respect, and kindness in your interactions with others. This means being honest, reliable, and following through on your commitments. It also means treating others with kindness and respect, even in difficult situations. The scorecard in the sky also applies to how you treat yourself. If you consistently make positive choices that benefit your health, well-being, and personal growth, you'll earn positive marks on your own personal scorecard. However, if you make choices that harm yourself or hinder your growth, you'll earn negative marks. Lowndes suggests that being aware of the scorecard in the sky can help you make better decisions and act more intentionally in your interactions with others. By striving to earn positive marks, you can build strong and positive relationships with those around you, which can benefit you both personally and professionally. Conclusion. In conclusion, these 92 tricks are a helpful resource for anyone looking to improve their communication skills. By applying these techniques, readers can learn to make a positive impression,